And a very good Friday morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. Joe Benigno back with you again, the Yoda Pain Podcast. Friday, May 2nd. How about that? 2025. The Joe Benigno Yoda Pain Podcast brought to you by the Hackensack Brewing Company, by Need a Discount Tire, and, of course, by Manscaped. Before we get into the Knicks' epic win last night in Game 6 against Detroit as they advanced to the second round of the playoffs to play the Celtics, before we even get into all that, I didn't mention this on Monday, the passing of the great Dick Barnett, number 12, one of the all-time Knicks, the numbers up in the rafters, of course, a member of the 1970 World Championship Knick team. Great guard. What a combination with him and Clyde in the backcourt. Can't say enough. When the Knicks got him everybody kind of points to when the Knicks drafted Willis Reed as kind of the beginning of the change from the Knicks being just when I started watching in 1962, from just being, this terrible franchise that never made the playoffs, into what they eventually would become. But they traded for Dick Barnett, who had played for the Lakers for 3 years. It's funny, Jerry West, and I didn't notice, Mike Breen made this comment during the Pistons series, that the great Jerry West said the greatest backcourt teammate, greatest guy that he played with in the backcourt was Dick Barnett, and not the great Gail Goodrich, who, of course, also is a Hall of Famer. I thought that was very interesting. Barnett was tremendous. Took Clyde under his wing when Clyde was drafted. Clyde talks about him as, really, really helping him develop into the great player that he became. That fallback baby jumper by Barnett, just tremendous. What's really sad? It really is. There's only two guys are left of the starting lineup from the 1970 World Championship team. Only Bill Bradley and Walt Frazier, Clyde Frazier, are still alive. Barnett now is gone. Willis is gone. Dave DeBusch has been gone for a while now. So, you start to really, as a kid who was fortunate enough to see those great Knick teams, and let me say this. Of all the teams I root for, I root for. I don't have to lay out the four teams I root for in the four sports. No team gave me more than the Knick team from 1969 to 1974. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals every year. They went to the NBA Finals 3 times. They won 2 championships. Probably would have won more if Willis didn't get hurt in the finals in 1970. They probably would have won at least one more championship. We'll never know. But that team from in that time frame gave me more than any team I've ever rooted for. They were just in a class by themselves. We could go on. Unbelievable. Frazier, Willis, DeBusch, Bradley, Barnett, go right on down the line. Every one of these guys, Cazzie Russell, Dave Stallworth, then Earl the Pearl when he got here, and Jerry Lucas, and Phil Jackson, and just, Dean Meminger. Unbelievable. Coached by Red Holzman. I really can't say enough about the greatness of those teams and the greatness of number 12, Tricky Dicky, as we call them, Dick Barnett, who passed away last week at the age of 88. A very smart guy as well, became a lawyer. Just, he was a professor, a college professor. I think he taught at St. John's. Just can't say enough about Barnett. And, and that leads me in to an epic opening round series against the Detroit Pistons. The Knicks win it last night. Jalen Brunson, who is quickly moving into all-time great Knicks status. Now, before we even break the game down, I heard somebody say that he's going past Patrick Ewing. He's not past Patrick Ewing, okay? Can we slow down, all right? This is the 3rd straight year they made it to the second round of the playoffs. They have yet to get out of the second round of the playoffs. Patrick Ewing won a lot of playoff series. He didn't win a championship. They went to the finals twice in the Ewing years. So Brunson's got a way to go to catch up to Patrick Ewing or Clyde Frazier or Willis Reed or Earl Monroe. Got a way to go to get to those guys. Okay, he's not there yet, as great as he's been. And what a performance last night. 40 points, the game-winning shot with 4 seconds left, the 3, he gets separation, hits that 3. That turns out to be the game winner. Just an epic series against the Pistons. It really was. How about this? First time in the history of the franchise that the Knicks won 3 playoff games, 3 playoff games in a series on the road. They've never done that before. I'm not shocked. that they never did it before. They won all 3 games in Detroit, by the way, by a combined score of 6 points. They won game 3 by 2. They won game 4 by 1. They win game 6 by 3. So every one of these games was as close as can be. And the Knicks came out early. They had the lead early. They looked good. They looked like they were in control of the game. Then Detroit took over in the second period and actually had a 2-point lead at halftime. The Knicks came out at the beginning of the third quarter and looked like they were in control of the game. They really did. They looked like they were in total control of this basketball game. And then Detroit took it over again. Knicks were like up 11 going into the fourth quarter. Before you know it, the Pistons got a 7-point lead with, just under 3 minutes to go in the game. And it looked like we're looking at game 7. And then, the magic took over. Brunson with a big 3-point play. How about Mikal Bridges, who had his best game as a Knick last night? I mean, he was unbelievable. He had 25 points. How about the tip-in off a Brunson miss in the closing minute that tied the basketball game? What a great tip-in. That tied the game. The Knicks get the stop on the other end, and eventually Brunson hits the 3 that wins the game. I just can't say enough. I really can't. Great night for Bridges. Great night for Brunson. You really got very little out of Karl Anthony Towns in this game. He eventually fouls out. He only had 10 points last night. He did pull down like 14 rebounds. But you had 2 games in this series, going back to game 2, where you really got nothing from Towns. And the Knicks were fortunate to win this game. And the reason they did is because of what you got from Bridges. Even Anunoby had over 20 points in this game. He played a really good game, as he's covering Cade Cunningham for most of the night. And look, I mean, the young Piston team gave the Knicks all they wanted. But at the end, I think the inexperience in crunch time really came back to hurt him. And remember, Detroit actually has a chance to at least tie the game in the last possession. 4 seconds to go. They inbound it. Cunningham makes a pass to Malik Beasley in the corner. Beasley fumbles the ball out of bounds. Game over. And that was it. The Pistons never even got off an attempt to try to tie the basketball game. Just can't say enough. You can't say enough. But really, all the Knicks have done, as epic as this series was, as much as a throwback in this series, as it was to, back in the Ewing years in the 90s with all the physicality and all of that, the Knicks only did what they should have done, and that's win this first-round series against Detroit. Now, maybe it was a little tougher than it should have been, but it's over, and the Knicks have gotten it, and it's in the rearview mirror now. And now it really begins for this Knicks team. Let's be honest. And nobody's going to give them a shot against the Boston Celtics here. Nobody. The Celtics whacked them 4 times during the regular season. The Celtics are the defending world champions. They beat Orlando in 5, took care of business pretty easily in the first round. Obviously, the Celtics have the home court in this series. And I don't know how much that really means. I mean, the Knicks lost 2 games at the Garden to Detroit and they won 3 road games. So I don't know what that really means. But I look at this series as a real barometer for where this team is now. Nobody's expecting them to win. I think the Celtics are, minus 950 or something like that to win the series. I mean, they're a prohibitive favorite, as they really should be, because they dominated the Knicks in this regular season. So we'll see what happens. But this is to me, there's no pressure on the Knicks. The Knicks are playing with house money now. I'm sorry. You could say, no, they got to show you someone. Yeah, this team has eventually got to get to the point where they're getting out of the second round of the playoffs, because it looks like right now that they're going to get eliminated in the second round again for the 3rd consecutive year. So that definitely looks like what the deal is right now. But, let's see. And the pressure now, like I said, is on Boston. The series starts Monday. Very happy to see that. Monday and Wednesday in Boston. Saturday, I think Monday back at the Garden for games 3 and 4. But I'm pumped. You're a Knicks fan. You got to be pumped for this series. And like I said, I'm going into this series fast and loose. Everybody expects them to lose. I expect them to lose. But, let's have some fun here. This is where we expect it to be. Now let's go from here. But, before we start and again, Brunson's on his way to being, Brunson's already making his statement that when all is said and done, number 11 is going to be in the rafters. I mean, we're moving into that area with Jalen Brunson. But before we start putting them in any class with Clyde Frazier or Willis Reed or Earl Monroe or Bernard King or certainly Patrick Ewing, we got a ways to go with Brunson. We got to start seeing him, make some significant runs in the playoffs. And they haven't done that yet. Yeah, it's great that they've, now gotten to the second round 3 years in a row. They've been in the playoffs now under Thibodeau 4 of the last 5 years. That's great after, 20 years in the abyss like they were. 20 years is the worst franchise in sports, which, by the way, the Jets have taken that mantle over. What a shock. But, and I think, if anything, this really saved Thibodeau's job. I mean, there's no way you're firing Thibodeau now. They could get swept by the Celtics here, and I still would not. You can't fire Thibodeau. I mean, to me, he's a very good coach. He's helped turn this team around. Who are you bringing in to coach this team? Tell me who you're bringing in. Another retread head coach? Leave Thibodeau alone. Let him go. He's done a really good job here. Is he Pat Riley? Is he Red Holzman? Is he Jeff Van Gundy? Well, no, not yet. But he's still done a very, very good job coaching this basketball team. And he deserves, no matter what happens in this series against Boston, to move forward as the head coach of the Knickerbockers. So we'll see, but I'm pumped for this. Now, you got to get – you Karl Anthony Towns, to me, is had 2 disappearing acts in 2 games in this series. You can't have that against the Celtics. He's got to be big in every game in my mind, and everybody does. And it can't just be Brunson. As great as Brunson is, there's still too much dribbling, and 1-on-5 by Jalen. Now, it worked out in this series. It certainly worked out last night, no doubt about it. But we got to see more. And I got to see more guys get involved. How about the bench being a little better? They got nothing from McBride last night. Absolutely nothing from him. They got nothing, very little from Cam Payne. I don't want to see Cam Payne taking big shots, in the playoffs. Mitchell Robinson, is giving him what he gives him. We saw in this series where Bickerstaff was going with the hacker Mitch, which last night he did it a couple times. I think he went 1 for 4 when he was trying to do that. But at times, and you may see, what's his name, Mazzulla now, Joe Mazzulla, the coach of the Celtics. Maybe he's going to do the same thing if Robinson's on the floor. I don't know. But I hate Boston. You look back at the history of the Knicks-Celtic playoff series over the years. In my lifetime, they played 8 times in the playoffs, and they've split the eight series. All right? 1969, the Eastern Conference Finals, the Celtics won in 6. 1972, the Eastern Conference Finals, the Knicks won in 5. 1973, the Eastern Conference Finals, the Knicks won in 7. In one of maybe the greatest playoff series they ever won. Even with the championships. Of course, they went on to win a championship in 73. 1974, they actually played the Celtics 3 years in a row in the conference finals. 1974, Boston beat us in 5. The Celtics went on to win the championship that year. Then, of course, that great series in 1984, that great 7-game series in the second round, when Bernard King went crazy. The Knicks won all 3 games at home in the Garden, all close games, and got whacked by the Celtics in every game in Boston. Of course, that was the Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish Celtics that went on to win the championship in 1984, beat the Lakers in the finals and all that. So the Celtics won that one in 1984 in the second round. Then, of course, 1990, the Knicks played the Celtics in the first round, opening 5-game series. Remember, that was the series the Knicks won. They won Game 5 in Boston. Remember, Ewing hit that big 3 from the corner to seal the win there. So the Knicks won that series in the opening round in 1990. And then they didn't play again until 2011. That was the Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce group, Ray Allen, and they swept the Knicks that year, if you remember, in 4. And then the Knicks played them again in 2013, the year the Knicks won 54 games with Carmelo Anthony and Tyson Chandler and J.R. Smith and Steve Novak and, Jason Kidd and all those guys. And the Knicks won that series in 6. Remember, they were up 3-0 in that series. Lost Game 4 in Boston and lost Game 5 at home before and blew like a 25-point lead in the fourth quarter, if you remember, in Game 6, and then hung on to win, right? What's his name? Iman Shumpert had some big moments at the end of that Game 6 to win that series. So in my lifetime, this will be the 9th time the Knicks and the Celtics have played in the playoffs. Each team has won 4 times. So there you go. And that sets it up for, the second round against the Celtics. And again, it's a major barometer for this Knicks team. You can't get swept here. You got to give me a series. And I expect the Knicks will. I think they're going to win at least 2 games here. At least 2. I'll say, boy, I hate to pick the Celtics here, but everything points that way. They're probably going to win in 6, but don't discount this Knicks team. They got big balls on this team. There's no doubt about it. They showed it in this series against Detroit. They showed you they could play physical, tough basketball. There's no doubt about it. And let's go. I think they got to get more out of the bench. I think they're going to have to get Karl-Anthony Towns cannot have disappearing acts like we've seen a couple times in the series against Detroit. It's got to be more than just Brunson. I want to see Mikal Bridges continue to play like he played last night. Same thing with Anunoby doing his thing. I guess he'll be guarding Tatum, right? I guess Jason Tatum. That's who Anunoby will be on for most of the series. Maybe him and Bridges will go back and forth covering Tatum. You know, same thing with Brown, Jaylen Brown. Same thing, right? It'll either be Anunoby or Bridges covering him, and we'll see what happens. But I got to see Karl-Anthony Towns come up big in this series. If the Knicks are going to, dare I say, find a way to shock the world and win this series against Boston, Karl-Anthony Towns has got to be a monster in this series if they're going to win. And they got to get contributions from everybody, and they got to get contributions off the bench too. From McBride, from Robinson, from Payne. You know, all these guys have got to get something done coming off the bench. But right now, you're a Knicks fan. You got a couple days to relax and enjoy the win in this series, and it'll all commence Monday night up in TD Garden in Boston. We hate the goddamn Celtics. You know what? I've been watching. I hate the Celtics. And I've seen it all. You know me. I'm an old man. I've seen it all. I saw Bill Russell, and I saw Havlicek, and I saw Sam Jones, and Casey Jones, and Tommy Heinsohn, and Bob Cousy. I saw all these guys. And Bird, and McHale, and Parrish, and Ainge, and Dennis Johnson. Right on through to Garnett, and Allen, and Pierre, and all of these. And these guys now. And how about this? And I want to hear this from the Garden crowd, okay? All right? I want to hear this. Every time that asshole, Kristaps Porzingis, who couldn't wait to get the hell out of New York, right? Couldn't wait to get the hell out of New York with his agent being his brother and all of that crap. Now he's playing for the freaking Celtics. Every time that bastard touches the basketball, I want to hear the Knicks fans boo his ass big time. You know? That's what I want to hear. What a piece of crap that guy is. You know, nothing gets me more ticked off, okay, than guys that don't want to play in New York, that don't have the balls to play in New York, okay? No, really, I mean it. That gets me crazy. And obviously, Porzingis didn't have the balls to play here, right? He couldn't take being the lead man on his team. He couldn't deal with it. So now he's like the 4th option in Boston, right? Behind Tatum and Brown, right? Behind those guys. You know, maybe even Derek White, you know, Al Horford, he's probably behind them too. So he's got no pressure on him like he had in New York, and he couldn't deal with it. And even that, you know, I don't want to say what he is, LeBron, okay? How about, and by the way, how great is it that the Lakers are gone, lost in 5 to Minnesota? Oh, what a shame after they made the Luka Doncic trade, right? After the league made sure they got another big superstar in L.A. Please, couldn't happen to a better team and a better guy than LeBron, all right? Please, I don't want to get started what I think of him. But, you know, anyway, we'll leave that alone right now. We know how great he is. It has nothing to do with his greatness as a basketball player. Right? But I'm thrilled the Lakers are gone. Yeah, let Porzingis have it. You know, one of the reasons that I love Carmelo Anthony as much as I do, and he's on his way to the Hall of Fame, right? Even though, you know, look, let's be honest, outside of that 1 year in 2013, there wasn't a lot of great success here with Melo. They did make the playoffs 3 years in a row. They had the 54-win year and all of that. And even that year, they underachieved when they wound up losing in the second round to Indiana. But anyway, be that as it may, Melo wanted to be here. You know, give me the guy that wants to be here. I love that guy. Just like Amari Stoudemire, he wanted to be here. You know, LeBron James didn't want to be here. He couldn't take the pressure in New York. Too much freaking pressure here. So every time that this a-hole, Porzingis, touches the basketball, I want to hear the Knicks fans let him have it when they get back to the Garden. Unbelievable. But an epic game, an epic series. You're a Knicks fan, you got to be smiling today. Now you get a couple days off to relax. and again, say whatever you want. We're playing with house money here against the Celtics. But one thing, again, and like I said, they're probably going to lose this series, but at some point, this Knicks team has to get by the second round of the playoffs. They got to start making a run. Dare I say, win a championship, okay? 1973 is a long goddamn time ago. All you need to know about 1973 is I was 20 years old. I'm going to be 72 this year. That's the last time the Knicks won a title, all right? I was in college. Oh, my God. So eventually, one of these years, this franchise has got to win again, okay? Got to win again. But right now, we'll be happy what happened. And just an epic series and an epic game, game 6 again last night. Jalen Brunson with the game winner. And as I said, he's got a ways to go to be in the pantheon of the all-time Knicks, but he's on his way. He's on his way to number 11 being up in the rafters when all is said and done. All right, Benigno, the Yoda Pain podcast. Let's get some sponsors in here. We'll let you know when the next live podcast at the Hackensack Brewing Company is coming up, probably sometime in July. We'll let you know when that's going to be. Now, you need work done on your car, you need tires, whatever your automotive needs are, you need your car inspected, you got to go to Anita Discount Tire in beautiful Rivervale, New Jersey, on Westwood Avenue. See my son Johnny, see Harry, his boss, Rob, one of the all-time mechanics there's ever been. Go see all of them. They'll take care of you. They'll get the job done for you. Tell them I sent you, and they will get it done. Anita Discount Tire, Rivervale, New Jersey. Again, Westwood, New Jersey. Now, my good buddies over at did I say Westwood? Yeah. Rivervale, again, Anita Discount Tire, Westwood Avenue, Rivervale, New Jersey. It's Westwood Avenue, not Westwood, New Jersey. Westwood Avenue, Rivervale, New Jersey. My wife corrects me as she does so well. Go check them out. See Johnny, Ari, Rob, everybody over there. Okay. Manscaped. Okay. Father's Day 2025 Handyman Rocket Man. Oh, my God. That looks great. Father's Day is one of my favorite days of the year because, number one, it's in June. Okay. It's always in June. And it's a day I don't really have to do anything. I mean, how many days, basically, you ever notice how Mother's Day, and I have no problem with this. Mother's Day is a week from Sunday. Make sure you take care of all the mothers in your life. I think we're going to have another, try that. I think we're going to have another little party, maybe over at the Steel Wheels Tavern in Ridgewood. I'm getting old. I think we will. But like Father's Day is like Mother's Day is like the biggest deal of the year. Father's Day, it's Father's Day,
Oh, stop.
But no, it's true. But nevertheless, Father's Day is coming up. And here's another great thing about Father's Day. Not just that it's in June, so the weather's good all the time. But here, the other thing, U.S. Open weekend for the golf, right? How about that? Tremendous. This year, U.S. Open, it's at Oakmont in Pennsylvania. We'll have all the live guys will be playing, DeChambeau, Koepka, Mickelson, Reed, Rahm, everybody. So all pumped up for that. We got the PGA coming in a couple of weeks. I think 2 weeks away from the PGA at Quail Hollow. So, but nevertheless, that's also another reason why Father's Day is great. It's just around the corner. And if you're still considering giving the same old tie or socks or whatever, maybe you're giving your father underwear that, probably don't even fit him anymore. It's time to rethink your gift game. This year, go above and beyond with the Handyman Rocket Man by Manscaped. Oh, that sounds pretty good. The ultimate grooming tool that he didn't know he needed. Now I know. But he's going to absolutely love it. Whether he's keeping his beard sharp or rocking a clean-shaven look, oh, baby. The Handyman Rocket Man has him covered. The compact powerhouse is designed for precision, ensuring his face stays smooth. I didn't shave yet, but I'm usually I'm smooth anyway. I mean, I'm a smooth dude, as most people know. If you don't know me, I'm smooth. Just take my word for it. But anyway, this compact powerhouse is designed for precision, ensuring the face stays smooth and fresh, just like that well-trimmed dad joke of it. What was this? Just like that well-timed dad joke of his. I don't understand what that means, but maybe the Manscaped people could explain it to you. Join the over 12 million men who trust Manscaped and give dad the gift of a smooth, fresh face this Father's Day. Use the code PAIN for 15% off your entire order at manscaped.com. Let me just tell you a little bit, because I don't have the Handyman Rocket Man yet, and it would be nice if the people at Manscaped would send me this. Come on. And I need some shampoo too. I'm out of shampoo. I can't, I'm not as my smoothness is maybe a little rougher than it should be because I don't have my shampoo and my, conditioner. I use it for body wash. My wife loves it. She actually smells me and everything. She's not repulsed and all of that. Unbelievable. What else can I say? The Handyman Rocket Man is the perfect tool for dads who need a quick trim between meetings, errands, or chasing after the kids or your wife. Maybe you're chasing around the house. The dual-action blade head tackles everything from beard shaping to the fine details around the neck. Check it out. Small enough to toss in a bag or glove compartment, powerful enough to keep him looking sharp. No dad should ever be caught without it. Check it out. Father's Day is coming. Manscaped. I love Manscaped. They've been a great advertiser for us, been a great supporter of the program. We love every second of them. Thank you so much. Check it out. The Father's Day 2025 Handyman Rocket Man from Manscaped. Absolutely tremendous. Love Father's Day. Mother's Day is next week. Take care of Mom. Don't forget, big day. Take care of Mom. We're going to take care of Mom again this year because she's just the most wonderful person that ever lived. All right. We got a few minutes to go here. The Mets lost 2 games in a row. I'm not panicking, okay? I'm not going to panic. They're still 21-11. I understand, they lost 2 tough games to Arizona. They really didn't hit in this series. Let's be honest about it. I know the bullpen kind of gave it up a little bit. I was a little upset that Mendoza the other night, when they were down 2-1, doesn't go to Diaz in the 9th inning. Put Diaz in the game. He hasn't pitched in how long anyway? Put him in the game. No, who did he put in? He put in some stiff that we never heard of that wound up giving up 2 runs. And so instead of it being 2-1 going to the bottom of the ninth, it was 4-1. The Mets come back, get 2 runs, but they come up short. And can this team ever hit in a big spot? How about yesterday, right? So here we are. We get to it's the bottom of the 8th inning. The Mets are down a run. Okay? Or I guess it was down 2. The Mets, they're down 3-1 going to the bottom of the 8th yesterday against Arizona. Juan Soto hits his second homer of the game leading off the inning into the left center field bleachers to make it a 3-2 game, right? Second home, finally hit a home run at Citi Field. Maybe he's finally coming around and is going to start hitting for big power now like we would expect him to. That was a positive sign in the loss yesterday. But anyway, so I think at this point, I guess there was 1 out. I think Lindor actually made it out. I think Soto was the second batter up in the inning, and he hits the home run. Alonso then walks, right? So Alonso's on first. Jesse Winker's up next. Hits the ball to deep left center. Just misses a home run. Hits the top of the wall for a double. I thought Alonso should have scored. Should have tried to score on the play to tie the game. He gets held up at third, and anytime that happens, I get very concerned because I don't have a lot of confidence that the guys coming up are going to get the big hit. So second and third now, they're down a run, 1 out, bottom of the 8th inning, and up comes Vientos. And let's be honest about Vientos, okay? He has not hit like we would expected him to coming into this year, which I'm not surprised about. And what does he do? He waves at a pitch 15 feet outside and strikes out. And now here comes Nimmo. Nimmo gets ahead on the count 3-1. Fouls off a 3-2 pitch, and then looks at a fastball right down the goddamn middle that strikes him out. End of rally, basically end of game. Some guy I never heard of hits a home run off Reed Garrett in the top of the 9th inning, and they go on to win it 4-2 when all is said and done. Another brutal loss for the Mets. Here's what I would do, okay? If I'm Carlos Mendoza, I would sit Vientos against all right-hand pitching, at least for a while, and play McNeil at third. Play McNeil at third, play Acuna at second, sit Vientos against righties for now. Because he's not hitting. Could he ever get a big hit? I know he had a home run the other day. I get it. Can he get a big hit? It's not a pop fly trip, double down a right field line like we've seen recently. Can he? And even the game before that, did you have any confidence, right? The game they lost on what was it, Tuesday? Tuesday they won. Wednesday, right? Another 1-run loss in that game to Arizona. They got a chance to win the game. Bottom of the 9th, bases loaded, 2 out. Remember, they walked McNeil to load the bases, right? Did anybody have any confidence that Francisco Alvarez was going to get the big hit to win the game. I didn't. I had none. I thought he'd strike out on 3 pitches. He actually grounded out to end the game. I mean, this team doesn't hit enough. I mean, let's be honest. They've been carried by the pitching. And even yesterday, Senga, 4 innings. I mean, come on. Really? I mean, one thing about the starting pitching, the ERA is great, but they haven't gone deep into games. And that's something we have seen. And the bullpen's starting to get hit a little bit now. You got A.J. Minter is hurt. You're seeing some warts. Max Kranick, who's been great, gave up a home run yesterday. We saw Garrett give up a home run. I think it's the first run he's given up this year. Overall, though, the bullpen's been really good. But this team's got to hit more than they do. Now, maybe Soto's finally getting off the snide, and he's going to start killing it now, maybe. We'll see. I don't know. But we'll see. But this team's got to hit more than they do, and they got to hit more than they do with runners in scoring position because they're not doing it right now. And again, you're not getting it from Vientos. And I'd sit him, I'm telling you right now, against right-hand pitching right now. Play McNeil at third. Acuna should be the everyday second baseman anyway. Play Acuna at second base, all right? And then you'll have, let Tyrone Taylor continue to play in the outfield. And you saw that crazy great catch he made the other day. How unbelievable was that in the game they won against Arizona? And you could have Nimmo, Taylor, and Soto in the outfield. And I want to see Torrens play at least a couple days a week. I don't want to see Alvarez playing every day, and he won't. Torrens has got to play, a couple days a week as I scratch my head and you see my crazy hair. But whatever. But we'll see. The Mets go to St. Louis now. Clay Holmes pitches tonight. They got a 3-game series with the Cardinals. Then they go to Arizona before they come home again. Remember, they swept the Cardinals 4 at Citi Field. Let's see what they do here. Got to get back on track. I'm not concerned about this 2-game losing streak. Still in first place. Still 10 games over. But this team's got to hit more than they've hit so far. They can't continue just to be carried by Alonso and Lindor, which has really been what the deal is so far this year. All right, before we go, the last but not least, looks like the Rangers are going to hire Mike Sullivan to be their next head coach. It's not official yet. He was a coach of the Penguins. Remember, he won back-to-back cups with Pittsburgh. The last 3 years, though, the Penguins have not made the playoffs. I guess he's a good buddy of Chris Drury. Somebody still got to tell me how Chris Drury got a contract extension. I don't understand it. Like I said before, maybe he's got compromising pictures of Jim Dolan. I don't know. But Sullivan is his buddy, and it looks like it's not official yet, but it looks like they're going to bring him in. Again, rent, don't buy if you're Mike Sullivan, the way that the Rangers go through coaches, like, you go through changing your socks. But we'll see what he does. There's going to be a lot of changes on this Ranger team going into next year. A lot of guys that we love are going to be gone. Probably Kreider, probably Zibanejad. We'll see how it plays out. Well, probably. We'll see. But Mike Sullivan looks like he's going to be the next coach of the Rangers. Let's hope he makes it beyond 2 years. Don't hold your breath. All right. Going to play golf again today. It's going to be 80 degrees. Again, playing with my lovely wife. Should be good. Everybody have a great weekend. Check me out tomorrow. I guess it's supposed to rain tomorrow. So I'm right now I'm on till 12:30 tomorrow, 10 to 12:30 on the fan with the Yankee game at 1:05. It does look like it's going to be a bad weather day. So just like last week, maybe the Yankees will get rained out again, and I'll be on longer. We'll talk a lot of Knicks tomorrow. We'll talk a lot of Mets tomorrow. But everybody enjoy your week. Enjoy your weekend. And I will talk to you tomorrow on the fan at 10 o'clock. Of course, back with the Oda Payne podcast Monday at 10. We'll get ready to preview the Knicks and the Celtics in the second round of the playoffs. All the love, everybody. And as always, and I emphasize this more than anything, God bless the greatest country in the world. God bless America.